Alright, so what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper, and welcome back everybody to a brand new video on the channel. Today, what we're going to be going over are 10 PUBG myths that you might still believe. So these are things that you may have heard in the game, and you're not necessarily sure if they're true or not. We're going to be talking about myths that I would say most players would be inclined to believe if they didn't really know otherwise, so we're going to go ahead and break those down and go in detail today. But before we get into that, if you guys could do me a massive favor and leave a like rating on the video, it only takes a second of your time, and it helps me out a lot. We're going to aim for 4,000 on this video, and also make sure that if you are brand new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my brand new videos or my live streams. And we just hit 150,000, so I've got a lot of really cool stuff coming up, and be on the lookout for that. And there's one final thing, while you guys are at it, if you don't mind going in the description and following me over on Twitter, we're almost at our new follower goal over there, and it's a great way for you guys to talk to me on social media. As far as like different platforms, Twitter is the one that I'm the most active on, so if you want to kind of become a part of that community, make sure to drop me a follow. It's absolutely free, and I would appreciate that very, very much. But getting all that out there finally, let's go ahead and talk about the 10 PUBG myths that you might still believe. So taking our number 10 spot today is the myth that you can be revived after drowning in water. And unfortunately, this myth is not true. They have recently done a lot of changes to where you cannot stay underwater for nearly as long as you used to be able to. There was a point where you could pretty much swim from the main island in Erangel to the military base almost completely in just 2 breaths. Now you can maybe get like 10 feet in a single breath before you lose massive chunks of health, and if you die in the water, you're just done for. I still feel like PUBG's water and swimming mechanics are one of the things that could use a lot of polishing, because I don't believe a lot of players really understand entirely how it works. You know, can you shoot somebody who's fully underwater? Stuff like that. People just don't really know. But no, if you've heard that you can be revived in the water after drowning, unfortunately, this is not true. Now, coming in at our number 9 spot is being able to shoot a nade out of the air and explode it. And this is something that players have been trying since the beginning of the game, because it only makes sense, mechanically speaking, in this game for that to work. And I guess all things considered, you should probably be able to shoot a nade out of the air and explode it if this game is trying to keep a realistic feel to it, but multiple testing has been done on this in every single way possible, and no, you unfortunately cannot shoot nades and blow them up out of the air. However, there is a big however to this. You can shoot Molotovs out of the air and explode them. The only issue with this is that it's really not practical, because if you see somebody who's throwing a Molotov, you're gonna shoot the person instead of the bottle that's coming at you in the air. I mean, you can try it just for fun, you can do it, but I just don't really see the purpose in it, and it's also probably pretty hard to do as well. So this myth, in conclusion, it's a no for the nades, but it's actually a yes for the mollies, which is super interesting. So I recommend go and try it out for yourself. But getting away from that and getting into the controversial topic of shoes for our number 8 spot today. Now, I get asked about this quite often because I don't think people understand this very well. So let me go ahead and clear this up a little bit. It's commonly thrown around that shoes are just going to make your footsteps louder and you're better off without them. Now, while this is not necessarily untrue, when you test this against different surfaces with and without shoes, you'll find that there are differences in certain surfaces, but the differences are very negligible, meaning they don't really mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. It's not going to be the difference between you getting spotted and heard and not getting heard. So I'm going to tell you, at the end of the day, it's all personal preference. It's very much one of those things where you don't need to waste energy on being concerned about what surface you're on, whether shoes are going to make it louder or not. Just rock with or without shoes. It's not going to make a big difference in the grand scheme of things. But moving along and taking the number 7 spot is also going to be another big point of contention, and this is graphical settings, another thing that I get questions about quite often. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you right here right now that this really depends on your own PC and what you prefer as well. But if you're going for a little bit more of a competitive playstyle, I will tell you that slightly lower settings as far as like textures, shadows, and foliage are going to be better. Anti-aliasing, it honestly doesn't matter. In fact, I actually run this setting on ultra because it kind of helps you filter out false movement, which is really important. But I will tell you, at this myth, at the end of the day, there is some truth to having a more competitive advantage with lower settings. But if you do care about graphics a whole lot, it's not bad to keep them up high, but you might have a little bit of a harder time spotting enemies. But moving along, coming in at number 6, I don't know where this myth came from, who really brought it up, and how it got popular, but somehow this is a myth that zeroing gives your gun more range. Now, I kind of have a theory about how this may have come up, because somebody may have been playing around in their game before people understood zeroing and was messing with, you know, the different settings on that. Now, zeroing, to keep it simple, is kind of selecting which tick on your scope is going to be where your bullet lands at, say, 100 meters, 200 meters, things like that. Now, and you can set it really high if you want to shoot at the highest tick at somebody maybe 100 away, but this doesn't necessarily give you more range, but you need to kind of think about your gun and your scope differently. Now, I think that people thought they had more range when they really don't, but they just didn't understand that zeroing just changes which dot you need to look at, not necessarily the range of the gun itself. So I gotta be honest, dude, I don't know where this myth came from, but no, this zeroing does not give your gun any more range whatsoever. And I will tell you that just don't even mess with it, because there's no reason to ever. Take things easy on yourself and just don't touch it. So coming in at our number 5 spot today is going to be killing a player with a stun grenade who is 1 HP. Now, to be honest, at first, I actually thought this myth might have some merit to it, because in most games, this actually does work. It hits somebody with a smoke who's 1 HP or a stun. Normally, they die in most games that I've played, and I figured PUBG might be the same, but this is actually not true. You cannot kill a player who's 1 HP with a stun. Now, I don't know if this is something that you guys want. Let me know in the comment section if you think that you should be able to do at least minimal amounts of damage with stuns. It could be kind of cool, and I think it would make them more useful. I would maybe start carrying them if they could do at least a minuscule amount of damage plus doing their regular effect. I want to know your guys' opinions on that in the comment section, because stuns are very underused, and I feel like they could be made better if this change was implemented. So at the end of the day, in its current state, you can use this stun to help you get a kill on a player, but you cannot use the equipment itself to secure that kill. But to get away from that one, and coming in today at our number 4 spot, is if 2 players are at the end of a circle at the very end of the game, if they die at the exact same time, will the match result in a draw? Now, this gets pretty technical and complicated, and I'm really not sure if this is ever going to be a thing in PUBG, but the match can never result in a draw no matter what. Even if you have 2 players who at the exact same moment in the zone die at the exact same time, there are still things within the depths of the netcode of the game that are going to decide one way or the other. One player is going to get the win over the other, even though it might not seem like it. What all those different deciding factors are going to be, I'm not really sure. I don't know if anybody is, but if I had to take a guess, probably things like ping would be a major player in deciding that. So no matter what, a match in PUBG cannot result in a draw. Now, coming in at our number 3 spot is a really fun myth. A lot of people think that you can be crushed by a care package as it's landing. I mean, it only makes sense. This can happen in other games. In fact, you can grab a vehicle in PUBG and land the care package on it and kind of drive it away if you're crafty enough, but no, unfortunately, you cannot die from a crate. It would be really fun if you could set up kind of kills like that to have somebody under the right moment at the right time to be crushed by the package. Could make for like funny, you know, clips and montages, stuff like that, but no, it will just either move you out of the way, it'll put you on top of the crate, or your game might get a little bit glitchy after that. Now, whether that's good or bad news to you, personally, I would like to see you be able to be crushed by a package. Not in the case of that's something that you want to do game to game, but it would be funny to set up either trolls against your friends or against other players. It would add a little bit more weight to a package coming in, no pun intended, but it's just one of those quality of life things. I don't really care, but we'll see what happens down the road. But coming in at the number 2 spot is a myth that I think that 90% of players believe, and for good reason. This is something that would make sense, and it kind of reflects in game as well, but I'm here to give you a little bit more statistics on this, so this might change your opinion about a few attachments. Now, the common myth is that the suppressor is superior in every single way to the flash hider. A lot of people think the flash hider just does what it says on the box, and the suppressor does that but better. It completely eliminates any kind of spark that comes out of your weapon, and with the flash hider, it's reduced, I don't know, maybe about 30-40%, but it's still a little bit visible. But the flash hider also has a couple more properties that you might not have been known about. Of course, it's going to give you less muzzle flash, we all know that, but not only does it do that, but it gives you a 10% reduction in your recoil pattern, and also 10% less horizontal and vertical recoil. So it's kind of like a mini compensator, if you want to think about it that way, plus the addition of the suppressor as far as like the hiding of the flash. And the suppressor itself just, of course, eliminates the muzzle flash, but it also gives you a 5% less deviation in your weapon, which is nice, but it's not one of those things that if you just want straight up control, go with the flash hider instead. It's going to be better, and that might make you think about the attachments a little bit differently. But finally, ladies and gentlemen, coming in at our number 1 spot of the most common PUBG myth I think that a lot of players believe is that females have smaller hitboxes in the game. And for some reason, it's not just PUBG that a lot of people believe this. It's every game from like Destiny Destiny to Fortnite to Halo, Call of Duty, whatever it is, most people believe that females are, even just if it's a minuscule amount, slightly harder to hit. Now, in most games, I cannot say this for all because I've not played every single game that has this, but in most games that I've played, this is untrue. Females do not have a smaller hitbox. It might appear that their character is smaller so that they would have a smaller hitbox, but technically speaking, in the engine of the game, it is exactly the same as a male. Now, that being said, even though you don't have a smaller hitbox technically, you might appear to other players that you do, causing them to subconsciously shoot differently. I've actually been a victim of this before. I've caught myself doing that. While it's one of those minuscule things that isn't game changing, it's still something that if you really want to have that competitive advantage, if you want to run a female model, go for it. It might help you a little bit here and there, but don't expect to, completely change your KD. However, if there is a game that you guys know about that does have a smaller female hitbox that you can prove, let me know what game that is. I want to do a little bit more research on it and find out why, and why it makes it that in that particular game and why not in games like PUBG, Fortnite, Call of Duty, that sort of thing. But anyways, guys, I think we can go ahead and pretty much wrap the video up here. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you did enjoy, and I hope you learned something from this video as well. Maybe kind of disperse the myths that you might believe. And if you enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are brand new to this channel. We're all getting close to 200,000 very, very soon. But anyways, guys, thank you for coming out. Take it easy, and I'll see you all in the next live stream or the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out.